Bihar will be voting in what many believe is going to be the last big battle of 2025. Who has the edge in Bihar, the next poll-bound state? Today we bring you the latest findings of the See Voter Election Tracker. And let me give you some of the numbers. Bihar's preferred Chief Minister, Tejashwi Yadav of the RJD, as per the See Voter Election Tracker, continues to lead in public perception. His ratings, though, have declined from the previous tracker in February at 40.6 to now 34.6 in June. So 34.6% in June preferred him as the Chief Minister candidate as opposed to 40 earlier. Chief Minister Nitish Kumar is way behind, fluctuating between 15.4 and 18.4. So purely in leadership, Tejashwi Yadav is almost twice where Nitish Kumar is. Here is the X factor. Prashant Kishor of the Suraaj party steadily gaining ground, rising from 14.9% in February, now up to 18.2% in June. So Prashant Kishor rises, Tejashwi's graph goes down. Remember, Prashant Kishor is also trying to capture an anti-Nitish vote. Chirag Paswan of Lok Jan Shakti, who is likely to contest the Bihar elections, he peaked at about 10.6% in May. He's around 9.9% in June. So roughly around where his party, the Lok Jan Shakti, also polls. BJP's Samrat Chaudhary, the Deputy Chief Minister, has seen his ratings swing from 8.2 in February to a low of 6.6. They've risen again to 9.6. So you can add his, in a sense, his voters to that of Nitish, and then the contest in terms of chief ministerial stakes, opposition or government, becomes that much closer. The Bihar government's performance, very much satisfied with the government as per the tracker, has increased, rising from 31.6% in February to 34.8% in June. But that is still means that there is a substantial anti-incumbency, because some satisfied to some extent have dipped, falling from 32.8% in April to 27.8%. But dissatisfaction is high and consistent. Over 35% in June also said they are not at all satisfied. So when I look at those two numbers clearly, there is a high level of dissatisfaction, and clearly the Bihar government is facing, after so many years in power at different times, Nitish Kumar, an element of anti-incumbency. Around 2 to 3% remain undecided. Public satisfaction with Nitish Kumar's government. In February, 31.3% said they were very much satisfied. That number rose gradually to 34.4% in June. Those satisfied to some extent are stable, hovering around 25 to 27%. Dissatisfaction is around 39.3 in February, now to 38.9. Percentage of people who said they couldn't say, had no view on the government, around 1.5%. What does this mean as the battle for Bihar begins? Yashwant Deshmukh, the psephologist from See Voter, who's done the poll, joins us. Amitabh Tiwari, political strategist, who's also been polling, joins me. Syed Zafar Islam, the BJP senior spokesperson, joins me. Anshul Abhijit, the Congress spokesperson, also from Bihar, contested from Patna, joins me. First to you, Yashwant. What's your big takeaway from the latest tracker?
Well, Rajdeep, the more things change in Bihar, the more they remain the same, in a way that we know that Bihar is highly polarized, number one. Number two, it looks like 35% on the each side, they seem to be locked, but it's the middle, around 30%, which is going to call the shot. But what remains to be seen, Rajdeep, is that I was expecting, when we started this tracker way back, that as and when we come closer to the polling dates, I was expecting Tejashwi and RJD's number to grow up, in filling up the vacuum of being the principal opposition. It seems like he is unable to grow. I mean, he is number one in terms of among all the leaders, no doubt about that. But there seems to be a kind of a glass ceiling that they are touching of a sort, where 35% is the combination. I would have expected him to cross 40, 45, touch even 45% in that vacuum. But I mean, the joker of the pack, or whatever, whichever way you say, Prashant Kishore coming out of the book kind of thing, I don't know whether he would be able to convert these emotions, these sentiments into votes and votes into seats. But at this point of time, he has gained a significant traction, and traction is not going down.
Int-
On the
interest-
other hand, if you just add Chirag's and Samrat Chaudhary's number, as you just mentioned in your opening remark, to the Nitish Kumar number, you can very well see that it's about 40% NDA block and 35% UPA block, which seems to be very consistent. So Bihar, at the end of the day, it remains the arithmetic game.
I take your point. Let's explore one of those factors, Amitabh Tiwari, which is the Prashant Kishore factor, which is interesting because he's a new player. You can call him a joker in the pack. You can call him an X factor. He's been campaigning vigorously now for a year. His ratings are reasonably good. We don't know whether, as Yashwant rightly put, that this will translate into votes for him. But when a leader is getting about 18.2% votes who choose Prashant Kishore as a preferred chief minister candidate, clearly he's getting a little bit more traction than many thought he would so close to the election.
See, if you see historically, Bihar always has had others bagging 20 to 25% vote share. Even in 2020 election, the two Gadbandhans bagged on a combined basis 74% vote share. Of course, even if you add Chirag Paswan's party, it's like 79%. So now it seems that Prashant Kishore is able to consolidate that third front or the other vote, because that is split into many parties: AIMIM, Samajwadi Party, Bahujan Samaj Party, Independents, RLSP, etc. It seems that he is consolidating that vote. Now, as Sir has said, whether he will be able to translate this popularity or top of the mind recall of a CM preference into seats or not remains to be seen. Because when we ask this question, it is of course linked to events. He is doing a lot of yatras, and that also seems to pitch him up at the top versus Tejashwi, Nitish, because these are the two principal challengers. But what
But
happens
is he in your view taking Tejaswi's votes, the opposition's votes away, or the government's vote? That's the big question. Whose votes is he primarily taking in your view?
See, he is consolidating others' votes. But as Yashwantji also says very frequently, it's sort of an opportunity lost for Tejaswi Yadav. Because what we are seeing is that Nitish popularity is declining from 37-38% in 2020 to 17%. But that is not being pocketed by Tejaswi. It is going either to Prashant Kishore, some portion of it, or to other leaders of NDA like Samrat Chaudhary and Chirag Paswan. See, this
Okay.
question also needs to be followed up with a question as to how many people are actually voting on the name of chief minister, because that number is not a significantly higher number. In Lok Sabha election, only 10% of the people, according to CSDS, voted in the name of the prime ministerial face. So this is going to be a highly localized election compared to the Lok Sabha election. So this may
Can I?
not fit into votes.
Okay, can I bring in Syed Zafar Islam? Syed Zafar Islam, when you look at these numbers, what it suggests is the arithmetic of your alliance is your strength. When I add all these numbers, you all still remain much stronger, it seems, than the so-called India alliance that exists. But you have a leadership question. Nitish Kumar's popularity and that of his government have dipped substantially, particularly his personal popularity. Does he still remain your face? Do you go into this election with Nitish Kumar as your face, Mr. Syed Zafar Islam, given his low numbers?
Rajiv, first of all, let me very candidly tell you that the dynamics in Bihar is very different than what is reflecting in the arithmetics here. I am in Bihar at the moment. I have been in Bihar. Yesterday also in Sasaram, I was there, and the dairy and other places I was there. Let me very candidly say that there is absolutely no competition as far as India is concerned. People have reposed confidence time and again in the Nitish Kumar ji, and they will continue to show same kind of confidence in Nitish ji and NDA. Having said that, whatever number you're showing right now on your screen, that suggests that 65 to 70%, more than two-thirds, people are satisfied, very much satisfied, to that extent satisfied, but they're not they do not have any problem with NDA. That only suggests that if your number suggesting two-thirds or more than two-thirds are satisfied, but actual in reality, we will break all the records this time.
No, but is Nitish still your face? Syed Zafar Islam, my question
See,
was, is Nitish Kumar still your face? These are low numbers for any sitting chief minister. Yes, he's been chief minister several years, but there seems to be an element of fatigue with Nitish Kumar as well. Is the BJP
So-
registering that or not?
Well, Nitish Kumar continues to be an icon in Bihar. He is the crowd puller. He controls a chunk of vote, and people definitely have confidence in him. We do have
Okay.
confidence in him. He is our face, will continue to be our face of NDA.
Okay. Anshul Avijit, your response to what you've just been hearing so far. Because what this seems to me is that the arithmetic game and elections at the end of the day are about arithmetic. Just the size of the coalition that the NDA has put together, Chirag Paswan, BJP, Nitish Kumar, give them a wider caste coalition in comparison to what you have. So it is in that sense, even with these numbers, Tejashwi may be number one in chief minister's stake, but overall, it is advantage NDA.
No, it's not. I mean, Rajdeep, I'm less interested in this competitive clash of personalities and more in ideology and the issues at hand, which the Congress party and the Mahagathbandhan has been more concerned with. Beginning with the Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra, essentially we focused on two things: development and social justice. The Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra went through regions of East Bihar and then later on entered Aurangabad, Dehri, Sasaram, Mohania, where my counterpart is at the moment, and you would have known the effect it had even in the general elections at that time, and the effect it still has. We focused on social justice, and by no means does social justice mean caste politics. It means the representation. It means actually giving people the equitable distribution of resources, empowerment, and that kind of thing. I mean, Bihar has.
No, those are all
enough
fine
of
words,
caste.
Anshul. Those are fine words, Anshul Avijit. But as we saw, even in the Lok Sabha election, they did not translate into votes on the ground. On the ground, the sheer size of the NDA's coalition could well overwhelm you.
No, it did. Actually, that was the defining narrative. You look at the regions where this the plank of social justice had traction. We won in East Bihar and then in the region of Shahabad, which is completely different from the rest. And therefore, I think that it's right. It is going to be a localized election where Shahabad and other regions act very differently from each other, with the CPIML coming in as well. The Mahagathbandhan is not just one party of RJD. It's got the Congress party. It's got its plank of social justice and development, which the BJP hasn't focused on. And let me just talk about what the Prime Minister here is the big factor. The Prime Minister immediately went from Jeddah to Madhubani because he suddenly had Pahalgaon and he had to react to that. And in his speech a month back in Bikramganj, it took him about half an hour to come to actual issues of development. The first half an hour was actually related to Pahalgaon, where you found emotive metaphors of patriotism and sindoor and all to cut across to people, because you really haven't done anything as far as development
Okay,
is concerned.
that's an interesting point. Whether the Bihar elections will be localized or whether they will once again be fought on brand Modi, as the BJP likes to call it. Our election tracker done by C Voter also looks at that. The performance of Prime Minister Modi, percentage of people very much satisfied has increased from 44.5% in February to 50.6% in June. So the Prime Minister's popularity is high. Remember, this is post-Operation Sindoor. Those satisfied to some extent saw a slight decline, coming down to 22.1% in June. Not at all satisfied, fairly stable, around 26 to 29%. Those who said they had no opinion was just 0.3. Now, contrast that on the other side with Rahul Gandhi. Where does Rahul Gandhi stand in these popularity stakes? February, 34.4% said they were very much satisfied, but that figure dipped to about 30.9%, which is roughly the vote of the Mahagathbandhan. Satisfied to some extent, saw a rise in April and May, but settled at 19.8%. People not at all satisfied increased to 37.2%. Those who couldn't say is 12%. Yashwant Deshmukh, in a state poll, will these national leaders and their popularity make a difference, or is this, as is being suggested by some of the guests, going to be a highly localized election fought on local caste combinations in particular?
It will be a localized election. Let's not make any mistake about it. But as we say that it's a cumulative decision always, Rajdeep. I mean, things add up in the decision making process of the people. And BJP, by and large, has got benefited a lot by the goodwill which the Prime Minister enjoys among not just Bihar, but in many states we know. But at the end of the day, we also know that as and where it is required, BJP has made the equation localized, keeping the Prime Minister's campaign and popularity, as we have seen in Haryana or Maharashtra or even in Jammu region, on the back end, actually, for that matter, even in Delhi, if we have seen that. So this localization is a two-way process. It's a dual-edged sword, I would say, and everybody has to deal with that. But these numbers do matter, keeping in mind that Prime Minister still remains popular and he does influence at least his part of the weight to put behind the NDA numbers.
You know, this question, Anshuman Tiwari, comes in every election. Whether these elections, the more localized they get, the better the chances, it seems, of the opposition. Although Maharashtra and Haryana were a major setback. The moment it becomes, the BJP makes it more a referendum on Prime Minister Modi, that much easier for the BJP to win as per past elections. Do you believe Bihar is unique in that sense because of the complexity of caste equation? Muslims plus Yadavs give the Mahagathbandhan about a 30% vote. But beyond that, they have a struggle to build new caste communities, new caste equations, and therefore that will matter much more than how much popular Mr. Modi or Rahul Gandhi are.
See, it's going to be a localized election for sure, and it's going to be very close because if you compare just the satisfaction rating of Prime Minister Modi versus Nitish Kumar, now you see a huge difference because the number of satisfied and the number of dissatisfied with Nitish Kumar's performance is almost equal, or it's negative to that extent, because this somewhat satisfied to some extent is rather a floating voter. It is the kingmaker sort of a voter because both these alliances have pocket votes of around 35% each as per the survey also. But in a very close election, Prime Minister Modi can become the differentiating factor. Even if 4-5% of the people are going to vote on the prime ministerial face in a very close election, he can become the differentiating factor. See, the RJD or the Mahagathbandhan, as you mentioned, is largely facing three structural challenges. One is its inability to garner votes outside of the MY vote block. It needs to add either EBC and or Dalits to its vote block to cross that 40-45% threshold which Yashwantji was telling about. Somehow the stigma of Jungle Raj, the RJD has not been able to shrug off or neutralize. जिसको कहते हैं हिंदी में चिपका हुआ है वो उनके साथ. And the third factor is that the symbol of RJD, which is a lantern today, lacks modernity somehow. Correct. So it's not able to solve its structural challenges unless it is able to do that. And Tejashwi is making a lot of efforts in that area. He's holding a lot of subcaste sammelans. So they need to add the EBC and or Dalit vote block to win this election.
That won't be easy, of course, given that Nitish Kumar has usually held on to a large section of the EBC vote, that the Dalit vote, the Chirag factor comes in. But Syed Zafar Islam, we saw in 2020, RJD emerged as party number one. They were very close to winning. Would you therefore concede, while you're claiming you're going to break all records, if 2020 is any barometer, Bihar is a lot tougher than maybe many other North Indian states are for you? It's a state where, in the past also, we've seen caste combinations and local factors make elections far tougher than in other parts.
Well, if you do a back testing of all the results since 2005, Rajdeep, then you will realize that it was aberration in 2020 because RJD has never been able to get cross beyond 50 and 55 seats. Having said that, as Amitabh Tiwari ji was rightly saying that it's a modern age and the people are these days not talking about the caste, but they are talking about the development. And Lalton,
they're talking about jobs. They're talking about jobs. One of the prime factors that Tejashwi is pushing is jobs, Naukri.
No, So I'm just coming to that. So people are fed up with lantern, and then now the era is of LED. So they all understand that which party is thinking on those lines to provide more jobs and opportunities to youth, and that is something which is which we have been able to deliver in last several years. Tejashwi Yadav, whenever they have the opportunity, they only think of their family members. Like for instance, they had the opportunity to get to have two deputy chief ministers. They chose both the brothers instead of any other from the party. That suggests that their only focus for the family. Rest of the people or the state is not relevant for them. They work on some combination MY, but this time even that will not work because even the recent bipolar election suggests that whatever may be there, even seats we have not won ever in the past we have been able to win those seats as well. That only suggests that we have a very cohesive, very strong units. Everyone is contributing. Be it the chief minister or the deputy chief minister, and of course, the honorable prime minister continues to be a very popular leader, and he makes a lot of difference when he enters into polling during the campaign period.
You know, Anshul, Abhijit, there is this feeling that there is no incremental voter. There is no new voter who's coming to your alliance. Your alliance is still stuck in that sense in the traditional MY combination. And the Congress in particular is unable to bring new voters. Your upper caste vote deserted you over the years, and you've not got a single caste grouping that can identify with the Congress in a very caste-conscious state. How do you then break out of the trap? How does the Congress and the Mahagathbandhan break out of this MY trap? Without breaking out of that, you can't win this election.
No, that's the problem, Rajdeep. You're making the election very, very reductive in terms of caste. As it showed last time in 2020, and you've mentioned that, the challenge in parties in Bihar, and of course, Bihar is notoriously caste-ridden. I've seen that firsthand. I've seen it over the years. Everybody else has. But the biggest challenge is how to make issues like jobs, employment, education, health, where Bihar is reeling. It comes the worst in all social sector indicators. It's absolutely the worst. How to make that relevant, or how to make that a linear relationship between electoral outcomes and health and economic suffering. How does that happen? It happened last time.
30 seconds. How are you doing it? How are you doing it? Well, it didn't happen last time. You lost the Lok Sabha elections.
No, I'm telling you. So social justice, and let's not reduce it to caste, and development go hand in hand. That's one thing. And we're talking about jobs. We're talking about the degraded nature of the health services in Bihar. We're talking about employment over there. We're talking about the plight of farmers. We're talking about education, where 50% of primary school children have forgotten to read and write. And that is really the situation over there. These are the issues.
Interesting. These are also some of the issues that Prashant. These are interesting. That these are also some of the issues, Prashant. Now I'm giving you only 10 seconds. Only 10 seconds, Syed Zafar Islam. No more.
All I want to highlight here that maybe Anshul is speaking all these things, but does he know that the dynamics between them and the RJD, because RJD is clearly not going to give them the number of seats they require. They want, because the RJD feels.
What about the dynamics between the
let's not even go down that route. We've heard both sides. We've heard now. I want to leave it there. There'll be many more opportunities. I have only given the numbers and what the numbers show. The numbers show at the moment, yes, there is anti-incumbency. Yes, Nitish's numbers are low. But purely as a combination, the NDA at the moment seems to have the arithmetic with them. We'll wait and see how and if those numbers change. Remember, elections in Bihar expected in November this year. So that's a tracker that we brought you.